Reloading for the 9mm Styer. This is another interesting cartridge. It's kind of an older, obsolete cartridge, and I believe it goes in the model 1912 Styer Han pistol. I just acquired one recently. I really don't know if it goes in any other handgun. It's the only one I know of right now. But it's another obsolete caliber, and recently it's manufactured and loaded ammunition by Fiocchi in Italy. I think I pronounced that right. And Hornady also makes ammunition for it. And what I did is I got some Hornady brass, and I'm going to try to load up just a few rounds here preliminary like and test the gun out. Even though the case is quite longer than a 9mm in length, it's a bigger case. This is a 9 by 23mm, I believe, and the 9mm I think is in the metric caliber is a 9 by 18 or something. So it's a bigger case, but the thing is, when I looked up load data, I looked up a lot of reloading data. They tell you just to load it the same way you would a 9mm Luger. In other words, same charge, same bullet weight. You kind of don't want to go over 125 grains, and you don't want to put a light 95 grain load in there that goes fast. You know, you want to stick to 115, 124 or 25 grain bullets. I don't remember, I think it was 125 grain was the standard ammunition. And then as far as dies go, I've heard all kinds of crazy things, but I've looked around online, and I guess you can use 38 Super dies to size. And you can use a 9mm Luger, which what I'm going to do today is a seating die to seat the bullet and crimp. Or you can use 38 Super set of dies. I'm not going to resize today. This is brand new brass, so I'm going to take it that it's sized and ready. I'm just going to prime it, load it, and fire it, and see what we can get, because I'd like to fire the gun. And I'm going to use a 9mm Luger load of Unique behind a 130 grain jacketed bullet. So I'm going to try that out first, then I'm going to see how it does, and then buy components specifically for this caliber. So I'll be updating this. This is my first whack at it, basically just to get the gun out and try it. But you can use 38 Super dies. 4CHD does make a die set specifically for the 9mm Styer, which is going to cost you some. I will probably buy a set of either 38 Super sizing die. I'm going to try to use a 357 Magnum 38 Special sizing die and see if that works. Someone else suggested you can try that. I'll see how that goes and see if it brings me back into my case dimensions. Loaddata.com has given me the dimensions for the cases and that and everything else. So I got all that info, so I know after I size it if I'm going to the right thing or not. And only one problem I had so far is when seating the primers in this, and I'm going to get the camera and get a close-up. The rim on one of these, this is brand new Hornady brass, the rim the case is made wrong. There's hardly no rim whatsoever. It kind of popped out. That's the first one I found out of 100, but let me get a close-up so I can show you what happened. Here's our close-up. And as you see here, there's no rim on this case. Things are rolling on it. It was just a defective case as compared to the one here with this big rim. You see there's almost absolutely no rim there. It popped right out of the holder while I was priming it. And here I'll show you the difference. It's a fired 9mm standing next to it. That's the difference in the size of the brass. So it's an interesting cartridge. I'm gonna like trying to load for it and that, and as I get more information about dies and what works and what doesn't work, I'll get back to you, and I'll call this one part 1, and then I'll have successive parts about reloading this caliber as I go along and do my experimentation. One thing I did forget, and it's kind of important, is in the brass. There's a lot of discussion on how to modify other brass or use brass other than the 9mm Styer. I believe I'll investigate it, but so far I think 2 companies make this brass specifically to the dimensions for 9mm Styer. Starline Brass also makes what they call a 9mm Largo. And what that is that's a case extremely very similar. And I got the specs here. The rim diameter on the Styer is 381, where on the Largo it's 392. And what that is that's the diameter here on the base of the case, or the rim, or it's actually a rimless case. And also the base diameter, which is the base here, down here where it mics up here, is 10 thousandths difference. It's 380 on the Styer and 390 on the Largo. Now they do tell you on the website that you can use it, and a lot of guys say they use the Largo brass. It's kind of cheaper. I think I paid, like with shipping, about 40 bucks or something for 100 pieces of brass, where you could go at Starline and they'll sell you 500 the Largo brass for 70 some odd dollars, $70, $80. So it is a little bit less expensive, but it's not exactly the Styer brass. It's off a little. There are people on different forums and websites that use it and say it works fine in their gun, and so if I could buy it specifically made to the exact dimensions, I'd rather use that myself personally. I may get some of the Largo brass just to try it. They also discussed modifying 38 Super and 30 carbine. This brass is what you call rimless. There's a notch in the bottom, but in other words, the diameter of the base and the diameter of that rim is, the rim is not bigger. It doesn't stick out, okay, is what it is. So this is rimless. 38 Super is rim. In other words, the rim diameter is bigger than the base diameter. So that will pose a problem, trying to use 38 Super brass or whatever. For right now, I'm going to use the 9mm Styer brass. I may try the Largo brass just to see if it works. And also another thing is the case length is 10 thousandths longer on the Largo, so you may have to trim it to get it down to the specifications of the Styer. But that's probably another question people have, because there's a lot of discussion about the brass. You know, like I said, if you can get it made for the exact caliber to the exact specifications, and maybe it costs a little more, it's probably save you some headaches. But since a lot of people say they use the Largo brass, I may just try it to see for myself if there's a difference or not. And I just wanted to add that because it's kind of another important part about reloading for this caliber. Okay.